Welcome to the 7th episode of the Brown Nose India Video Diaries. Today I'm shooting this show from my hotel room in Varanasi, where I spent a fascinating weekend taking in the sights and sounds of this diverse and historic city. After the rain on Friday night, I was a little bit nervous about what the weather would be like on Saturday, but it turned out to be absolutely perfect with clear blue skies and bright sunshine. We left the hotel at 5 o'clock in the morning. By 5:45 we were sat in a boat on the river Ganges, watching the devotees take their early morning bath in the waters. Hindus believe that by doing this they can wash away the sins from their lifetime, and people come from all over India to carry out this ritual. Riding along in the boat was almost a mystical experience. You could hear in the background the sounds of the various rituals taking place. But at the same time, around the boat itself, there's this feeling of tranquility and silence. And up above, the sun was rising, and you could also see smoke rising from some of the ghats where some of the cremations were taking place. And as you got close to those ghats, you could actually see the bodies being lined up for burning. After the boat ride, we were introduced to a very different experience, a very different side of Varanasi, when we went into the old city and walked down the small, dark and dingy alleys that are there. These were absolutely packed with people and animals, including cows and goats and men carrying heavy loads on their backs and heads, and even carts carrying wood to the crematorium. To start with, it was kind of fun negotiating your way past these, but towards the end I ended up feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit overwhelmed as well. It didn't help too that near the major temple there's a huge security presence to protect it from potential attack. After we found our way out of that part of the city, we visited a couple of other temples. One was located in the university here, and it was a fairly new temple, I think only around 20-25 years old, but it was very peaceful and had very nice architecture. And after that we went to another temple, which used to be called the Monkey Temple, because there was a huge pack of monkeys running around it. Thankfully now they've gone, and we were able to experience the rituals that were taking place in this 17th century building. And it was quite a striking and emotional experience. We got back to the hotel in time for breakfast. In fact, it was only 9:30. But I for one, was exhausted after taking so much in during the morning. Later on in the afternoon, we had a slightly different insight into the city from a Sanskrit scholar who's lived here for over 30 years and has devoted his life to translating some of the sacred texts and understanding them more deeply, and also teaching other people. He was telling us how in the last 5 years suddenly you've seen yoga schools grow very quickly here, also music schools as well, showing an increase in interest from foreigners in particular in Indian culture and history. He himself is also making some efforts to promote his work by putting a lot of the text that he's translated onto the internet. I personally think this is a very exciting project. There are literally hundreds and thousands of manuscripts and texts dating back many millennia, and it's good to see that some of this knowledge is now being shared globally using the internet. After sitting down with him for a couple of hours in his apartment, which had a fantastic view of the Ganges, we just took a short walk along the banks of the river again, and then it was time to go back to the hotel. I have to say that one of the challenges and also one of the joys of travelling in India is simply that you take in so much content during the day, and it's nice to get back to your room and review the photos and look at the video and relive your experiences. Varanasi is the last stop on this trip, so probably this is my last formal Brown Nose India Video Diary entry. What I'd like to do next week is to explore in more detail some of the ideas that have come into my head during my journey. And one is particularly in this area of content. From what I can calculate today, I've got about 5 gigabytes of photos that I've taken this week. There are 30 gigabytes of video, and then numerous notes that I've taken using my OQR. The question is, what am I going to do with them? So that's one of the ideas that I'm going to be exploring next week, and I'll close on that note.